Shalom everyone, Rabbi Eric Solomon in Raleigh, North Carolina, some morning Torah. So the Torah portion this week is Vayera. It has many parts of this Genesis Torah portion which are famous, but the one I want to focus on is Abraham and the Akedah, Avraham Avinu, who nearly sacrifices his son, Isaac, Yitzchak, when he believes that God has asked him to bring up his own son as a sacrifice to God. And there's many commentaries on this and idea of faith, and is this really what God really would ever want? Did Abraham hear it correctly? There are famous commentaries around this by Rashi and others. In the end, Abraham does not sacrifice his son, thank God, and brings a ram instead, and that is sacrificed, and the shofar of that ram's horn is recognized and kind of recognized for generations, especially Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and things like this. But let me just step back and say the issue of sacrifice and our family. So if you just take this at like a 30,000 foot picture of this story, which again is deeply troubling. I remember being afraid of it when I heard it as a kid. It is a story about a man, a father, who is so committed to his holy cause, in this case his commitment to God, religious zeal. But we're going writ large to see this as any parent who is super committed or adult to their cause, what they think is greater than themselves. But in that process of being so committed to it, to making a difference in the world, they sacrifice and have a deep, profound effect on their own family. In fact, from this story, there's famous midrash. Right? Look at the text itself. Isaac doesn't speak really after this event, and Sarah dies very soon after, which the commentators say is because she's so upset and terrified and shocked from hearing the story, even of what happened. And that really speaks to the idea of what it means. There is a consequence for the actions we take when we have a circle around us. You know, I see this profoundly as a congregational rabbi with older parents. There are older parents who, as they age, understandably want to stay independent and be on their own. But at a certain stage, when the children or child says to the parents, you know, I need you to change move to assisted living, or move in with us, or move from a faraway town to closer to Raleigh, there can often be a lot of resistance. Understandably, this is not an easy decision, but one of the questions that gets raised when I'm sometimes involved in these conversations pastorally is the fact that the parents are not just this independent entity upon themselves. The decisions they make, the consequences, directly affect their children and their relatives. Not to mention the fact that if crisis occurs, those children have to leave their entire lives, perhaps their own children, to go take care of the parents. So the idea that we're interconnected, that we're in a web, that even if we have some great idea or passion, whether we're a great leader, look at the consequence of Martin Luther King's children from his commitment to the civil rights movement and some of his choices and behaviors. You know, there is a consequence to one's action, even when you're pursuing some higher goal. And that's part of what the Akedah teaches us, that don't get so carried away with your lofty goals, your ideas about yourself or the dreams you have or visions, that you forget about the consequences, the people closest to you. They can be dire as well. We must be careful. Tov, Shabbat Shalom.